Today, we are going to talk about the first successor, Sadguru Chandradeo Ji Maharaj. In the previous series, we had discussed about Sadguru Sadafaldeo Ji Maharaj, his full journey in short. And as we had discussed, in 1954, Sadguru Sadafaldeo Ji Maharaj left his mortal body. And then, although he had declared in 1938 itself about Dharm Chandradeo Ji Maharaj as the first successor, but he became Sadguru only after Sadguru Sadafaldeo Ji Maharaj left his mortal body. Because if you remember, Sadafaldeo Ji Maharaj had told to Dharm Chandradeo Ji Maharaj that till the time I am in this body, you will be a little bit incomplete. But the time I will leave this mortal body, all my power will automatically flow through you and you will become the complete one. Sadguru Sadafaldeo Ji Maharaj, as we mentioned earlier, is a time traveler. Sadguru Dharm Chandradeo Ji Maharaj is the most important connector between today, what we have, and Sadguru Sadafaldeo Ji Maharaj. Sadguru Dharm Chandradeo Ji Maharaj was the only son of Sadguru Sadafaldeo Ji Maharaj, and Swamiji used to say, Sadguru Sadafaldeo Ji Maharaj used to say that a lion does not teach his cub how to hunt. The cub learns on its own. And that's how Sadguru Dharm Chandradeo Ji Maharaj was there. He learned most of the things on his own under the guidance of Sadguru Sadafaldeo Ji Maharaj. He was born in 1919 and he was in his mortal body for 50 years, 50, and he left his body in 1969. And he became the first successor in 1954. And if you remember again, Sadguru Sadafaldeo Ji Maharaj had declared about Dharm Chandradeo Ji Maharaj that he will be there only for 15 years. And that's what exactly happened from 1954 till 1969. Sadguru Dharm Chandradeo Ji Maharaj was there. He had done a lot of things for Vihagam Yoga, as well as whatever Sadguru Sadafaldeo Ji Maharaj had left in terms of all the documentations and everything he had to take care of. Sadguru Dharm Chandradeo Ji Maharaj. The most important and accomplished thing what Sadguru Dharm Chandradeo Ji Maharaj did was he made commentaries to the couplets of Swarved in Hindi. Sadguru Dharm Chandradeo Ji Maharaj was the one who was carrying the power of Sadguru Sadafaldeo Ji Maharaj, and being in that state, that means the state of Samadhi, he translated all the couplets written by Sadguru Sadafaldeo Ji Maharaj in normal Hindi language so that everyone can read it out and understand it. Sadguru Sadafaldeo Ji Maharaj had told Dharm Chandradeo Ji Maharaj at one time that at the moment, only two people know all in all about Swarved: myself and you, and that's it. If you do not translate it within your time, Swarved would also suffer the same as other spiritual books went through. What he wanted to say here, Sadguru Sadafaldeo Ji Maharaj wanted to convey here that I have written Swarved in a state of Samadhi, and it must be translated in a simple, normal language so that people can understand it by Sadguru himself. If somebody else will try to translate it, probably the meaning would change. The reality would change, which will be harmful. And that's why you should translate it during your time itself. Otherwise, it will be very difficult for Swarved to sustain. Sadguru Dhamchanddev Ji Maharaj wrote 10 books, including, of course, translation of Swarved. And all of his time, whole of his life, he completely did all the things under the guidance of Sadguru Sadafaldeo Ji Maharaj, throughout under the guidance, because Sadguru Sadafaldeo Ji Maharaj himself had told him that I will guide you. Doesn't matter whether I am in this mortal body or not. Wherever I will be, I will guide you. I will be with you all the times. Most of the books of Sadguru Dhamchanddev Ji Maharaj were about the life of Sadguru Sadafaldeo Ji Maharaj and the concept of the Brahma Vidya Vihangam Yoga. Sadguru Sadafaldeo Ji Maharaj could not write anything about himself. Whatever he wrote, it was written in Swarved, but it was Sadguru Dhamchanddev Ji Maharaj who wrote everything about Sadguru Sadafaldeo Ji Maharaj, and those all composed in 10 books. Sadguru Dhamchanddev Ji Maharaj knew 3 languages: Sanskrit, Hindi, and Urdu. At that time point, Urdu was very, very popular. As per the instruction of Sadguru Sadafaldeo Ji Maharaj, Sadguru Dhamchanddev Ji Maharaj never took a rest. Never ever. Sadguru Sadafaldeo Ji Maharaj had told him, don't take a rest. You are here to do some specific task. And on that basis, Sadguru Dhamchanddev Ji Maharaj roamed around the whole country to propagate the knowledge of Swamiji Sadguru Sadafaldeo Ji Maharaj. When Sadguru Dhamchanddev Ji Maharaj had appeared born, Sadafaldeo Ji Maharaj had mentioned that a saint, an enlightened soul has appeared. He will do something specific for me. Sadguru Dhamchanddev Ji Maharaj's life was very simple. He was very, very simple person when somebody would have seen him. But he had achieved the highest level of the life, and he had set an example of the simplicity to many. Sadguru Sadafaldeo Ji Maharaj had transferred, like Sadguru Sadafaldeo Ji Maharaj had transferred all the spiritual power to Sadguru Dhamchanddev Ji Maharaj. In a similar way, Sadguru Dhamchanddev Ji Maharaj transferred all that spiritual power of the eternal master to the second successor and current Sadguru, Sri Acharya Sri Swatantradeo Ji Maharaj. We will talk more about him in next section, but this is all in nutshell about Sadguru Dhamchanddev Ji Maharaj. And one of the another important thing about him was he started publishing magazine in long back in 1950, and that magazine still continues. Can you imagine? A magazine started in 1950. Now it is more than 70 years of that magazine, which still exists almost in a similar way. Sadguru Dhamchanddev Ji Maharaj has set one such example that no one can replicate it. Thank you very much for listening.